Hey there. Glad to see you again. So you decided to become an indie, huh? Well, that's great. Well, hopefully you hadn't clicked publish yet. And if you had, it's not the end of the world. We need to go over a few fundamentals first. So, sit back and listen up.
Welcome to the Cube with Brian D. Anderson.
All right, let's get started. Now, hopefully you've already watched the video on whether or not indie is right for you. And if you haven't, take a minute, give it a watch, ask yourself the questions, and then move forward from there. Now, if you have watched it and you have sat down and examined yourself, examined your life, examined your options for publishing, and decided, yes, indie's where you want to be, congratulations and welcome. Now, for my part, indie has been the greatest experience of my life. Being an independent author has taken me in directions that I could have never anticipated. It has brought happiness not only to myself, but to my family and the people I love. And I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Now, I do hope that you have the same experience, or at least one similar. But in order for that to happen, there's some groundwork. There are foundations that need to be laid. Think of indie as a skyscraper, and you're building it one floor at a time. Before you start building it, you need a foundation. And that's what we're going to be working on today. Now, if you haven't laid your foundation and you have already published your book, don't worry, it's not the end of the world. You can still do all the foundation building, just you're doing it a little late. It's not going to destroy your career, so don't panic. Now, as an indie author, your existence is primarily in the digital world, which means you're going to have to do a lot of online networking. Now, I break networking down into two categories: resources and readers. Now, we're going to discuss readers first because it's the simplest category to explain. Now, I would say this is the first thing you need to do, but as with a lot of things in indie publishing, you need to be doing a lot of things simultaneously. And the different types of networking is one of those. Now, becoming a part of the readers groups is important, equally as important as becoming part of authors and their community. Mainly because that's who you're really trying to reach in the end. But you can't go in there guns a-blazing. You can't go in there spamming your book all over the place and going on and on about that you're a writer, you got a book coming out at a certain date. It's perfectly acceptable to mention it when you join. Bring it up occasionally when appropriate, but don't focus on that. Become a part of their discussion. Learn what they have to say, because what they have to say is very important to you. You can find out why they're not finishing books, what authors they don't like, what authors they do like, what they're looking forward to as far as new releases. It's a gold mine of information. Now, you already might be part of some of these readers groups, but you need to ramp that up as much as your time will allow. Now, once the day comes and your book is about to be released, then you say, hey, I got my first novel coming out. I'm so excited. Now you're familiar. Now you're a part of their group. They're going to say, hey, post the link. Let me check it out. I would love to, or I have a blog. I'll put a review up for you. You have all these resources available to you now just because you didn't go in like some overeager teenager on prom night. Yeah, that's a terrible metaphor. I'm leaving that in, but that is a terrible one. Jesus. but I'm leaving it in. Yeah. Just because you weren't jumping the gun and you slowed yourself down enough to become a part of their community, now you have a genuine shot at some sales, and I mean some real sales. And now it's time for author groups. You need these basically for the nuts and bolts of your new business as an independent publisher. It's there you're going to find good cover art, affordable editing, beta readers, people who design the interior book, all the details that you have to put together for your new publishing business to thrive. Now, I would say, ramp that up like I did with the readers groups, but that's not necessarily what you should do. I would suggest finding a few of these, exploring a few, lurk for a little bit, find the ones that aren't very toxic, and take part in those. Now, they can get really toxic, and there's a lot of pitfalls within these author communities. First, we'll talk about the pitfalls, and mostly that has to do with scammers. There's people going to promise you, 1,000 sales, and because their marketing works the best, and all you got to do is pay X amount of dollars. Anybody that promises you any sales, they're full of it. Now, if there's a marketer that can cite some examples, give you some references, and say, here's what my performance has been in the past, and it's verifiable, then that's somebody that you might want to look at. But there's a lot of people making absurd promises of 10,000 sales. All you got to do is pay them $300, or they'll get you 500 reviews on your book. I think for every author there must be at least 3 scammers. And there are some scams out there that look pretty legitimate. But before you get in bed with somebody who is promising you success, do your research. Do a little background on these people, because if you get involved with somebody who is scamming and gets a bad reputation, that's a stink that will not wash off, and nobody will ever forget that you were a part of that. People in the literary community have a long memory, and they are not historically forgiving. Now, the other downside to the author groups are the toxic people. Now, for the most part, you have a bunch of writers, all they're trying to do is, become a success in indie publishing. They're trying to write their stories and get information and trade information, and they can be a real pleasure. There's a few out there who they just want to crap on everything. Typically, it's, in my experience, it's some disappointed jackass. I hope I can say that on YouTube and not get bleeped. But anyway, maybe I should bleep. No, I'm going to leave it and see what happens. But some disappointed malcontent who has tried and tried again to succeed in indie publishing and has just failed miserably. And their whole attitude is that it's not them, it's the world that has yet to recognize their genius. That they're smarter than everybody and they know everything, in spite of the fact that they have never yet had a successful release. Stay away from these people. They'll only serve to bring you down. Now, it's pretty easy to recognize who they are. They claim expertise in areas where there's no way they could have expertise. They'll usually claim they know how to sell books or how it should be done. And when you look at what books they've sold and you go on their page on Amazon, and you can tell they hadn't sold any, or they go on and on about how messed up the publishing world is, how messed up readers are. They're negative about everything. Stay away from these people. They will bring you down. But I gotta warn you, it's easy to get sucked into that though, especially in indie. Indie is full of disappointments. Your first release may not be as stellar as you're hoping. And you go to these forums trying to figure out why you did not do as well as you hoped. Well, they're gonna leap right in there, and they're not gonna try to lift you up and say, hey, you'll do better next time. They're gonna, feed on your negativity to justify their own. So stay away from these people. I already say stay away from these people. Stay away from these people. You don't need that kind of crap in your life. But again, there are a lot of really good people. Now there's going to be some groups that you're going to want to be a part of that you're just not allowed yet. Now don't think it's because these writers are stuck up. They're not. The writers who are more advanced in their careers often create smaller groups that so they can have resources shared with people who are in the same stage in their career that they are. So, you can aspire to one day be part of that group, but, don't hold it against them that they're not letting you in. And a lot of these people also take part in the more general groups. It's just they want a kind of a place to where they don't have to answer beginner questions all the time. And, I'm a part of a couple of those groups, and it is somewhere we can vent. Now, I bring that up because I would also suggest either becoming a part of or creating your own smaller group of like-minded writers, people you get along well with. Because you will want to vent, you will want to say some things when you're upset or when you're frustrated that you don't necessarily want out there on the web. So you can do that through Facebook, or that's where my groups are, is on Facebook. You can create a small private group. But this kind of networking, like I said, is just as important as any other networking you're going to do. I mean, yeah, you can go to conventions, you can go to all this stuff, but you're going to reach thousands and thousands and thousands of people through the online networking. So that's the foundation you need to lay. It takes months, and it's not easy. But if you are patient and you take your time, work it slow, and pay attention, you're going to do just fine about that. This is Brian D. Anderson, and this is The Q. Don't forget to click on the links below and check out the Patreon page where only certain content is available. And check out my books online on Amazon.com. Brian D. Anderson is where you can find me. We'll see you next time.